In sports, being the best is everything. But what happens when you're too good? What if your dominance isn't natural, but engineered? This is the story of how Russia was banned from the Olympics. Not just a few athletes, the entire country. And it all started with one lab, one scientist, and one of the boldest cheating operations in sports history. For decades, Russia, especially under the Soviet Union, was a sports powerhouse. Olympics, track and field, weightlifting, figure skating, you name it, they dominated it. But after the fall of the Soviet Union, that edge started to fade. And they didn't like that, so they built a system to get it back. Not by training harder, but by cheating smarter. In the early 2000s, a man named Dr. Gregory Rodchenkov ran Russia's anti-doping lab. But instead of catching cheaters, he was helping them. He created a cocktail of steroids mixed with alcohol to mask drug tests, and athletes weren't just using it. They were winning gold medals with it. By 2014, the Russian doping machine had reached full power. At the Sochi Winter Olympics, Rodchenkov and his team created a secret system. They swapped out dirty urine samples in the middle of the night using a hole in the wall. The government was in on it. The Russian Secret Service, the FSB, was literally helping swap bottles. It wasn't just cheating, it was espionage. But here's the twist. Rodchenkov got scared. People around him started dying. And he knew he'd be next, so he ran. He fled to the US and became a whistleblower, leaking everything to the press. Emails, documents, names. He even appeared in the Oscar-winning documentary, Icarus. What came next? One of the biggest punishments in Olympic history. In 2016, the World Anti-Doping Agency confirmed everything. Russia had systematically doped thousands of athletes. They weren't just breaking the rules, they were rewriting them. So the International Olympic Committee banned Russia, their flag, their anthem, their name, at the 2018 Winter Olympics. Russian athletes could only compete under a neutral banner. Olympic athletes from Russia, they weren't allowed to represent their country. And even though they won medals, they weren't allowed to celebrate like it. Imagine winning gold and watching someone else's flag go up. But Russia didn't stop. They appealed, they denied, they hacked anti-doping officials and leaked their emails. No remorse, no apologies. So in 2020, the IOC made it official. Russia was banned from using their name or flag in the 2021 Olympics, the 2022 Winter Games, and more. And even today, the scars are still there. Russian athletes compete as neutral. But the world hasn't forgotten. So what do you call it when an entire country is banned? Not for losing, but for being too good to be true. You call it the Russian doping scandal. And it's proof that in sports, you can't fake greatness forever. If you liked this story, make sure to hit like and subscribe. New videos drop every day, and you don't want to miss what's next. This is the Sport Files.